Part 1. Dominic of Silos, namesake of St. Dominic. The story of St. Dominic, founder of the Dominican order, begins with his name. Our famous, beloved St. Dominic was not the first Dominic who ever lived. St. Dominic is named after Dominic of Silos. Dominic of Silos lived around the year 1000 on the Spanish side of the Pyrenees Mountains. The mountains are a natural border dividing Spain from France. As a shepherd attending to his flock in the idyllic foothills, Dominic acquired a love of solitude and awe for creation. This love affair with the great silence soon called him to the Benedictine monastery in nearby Navarre. Before long, Dominic was promoted to prior of the monastery. During his time in leadership, he became emboldened and excited by the reform movement sparked in Benedictine monasteries in Cluny, France, and sweeping through Europe. Benedictine monks were standing up to feudal lords and restoring the rule of Saint Benedict within their monasteries. Here's a little background information about real estate in the Middle Ages. Because a working monastery required large swaths of land, monks were reliant on local landowning lords to gift them property. When a lord donated land to a monastery, however, he felt he could demand certain rights and privileges, even if they interfered with and violated the monk's sacred commitments. For example, donor landlords would install their aristocratic family members as abbots, or consider the revenue from the sale of monastery goods as their property. Or they would assume that they could retire at the monastery. And you can bet that when lords and aristocrats moved into the abbeys, the deeply important prayers of the divine office were modified so that matins, prayed at midnight or just after, were done away with, as well as any rules pertaining to fasting. The Cluny reforms were an attempt to remedy this corruption by empowering abbots to be independent of their aristocratic donors. As prior, Dominic too came into conflict with local land-owning lords. The king of Navarre and his court, when they ordered Dominic to yield a large portion of this monastery's land for the king's use, Dominic refused, and our dear Dominic of Silos was driven out of the monastery by force. In flight from state violence, he found refuge in the town of Silos, in the province of Old Castile, at the decaying abbey of Saint Sebastian, then occupied by only 6 aged monks. It was a very big monastery for only 6 aged monks. Founded a century prior, the house and community had fallen on hard times and were in terrible shape physically, financially, and spiritually. Dominic was appointed as the abbot of this withering community, and with the fire of reforms of Cluny still burning in his heart, he proceeded to rebuild. He rekindled the spiritual life, straightened out its finances, and rebuilt its structure. He built the cloisters in the Romanesque style and established a scriptorium where the monks designed, printed, and studied from books. He set up gold and silver workshops to raise funds to support the local poor and to ransom prisoners. By the time of his death, on December 20th, 1073, the monastery was 40 monks strong. He was renowned for his power to heal and was beloved by many. Dominic of Silos, lover of deep silence, was eventually canonized the patron of shepherds and of prisoners.